Buenos días, Group God. Good morning. It's a pleasure to open EuroCast to 2026, the 20th International Conference on Computer-Aided System Theory, here in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. We are meeting in a city that has hosted this conference for many years and that feels very much like its natural home. And in a venue, the Elder Museum, that symbolizes exactly what this conference is about, connecting knowledge with society, ideas with practice, and research with curiosity. EuroCast has always been a special kind of conference. It brings together people from different areas, system theory, modeling, simulation, computation, engineering, who share a common interest in understanding complex problems and finding useful solutions. That combination of perspectives is increasingly important today. Many of the challenges we face in technology and in society requires collaboration across disciplines. And meetings like this create the space where that collaboration can begin and grow. This year conference also has a special meaning for our university community. Recently, the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria lost Professor Roberto Moreno Díaz, a leading scholar in cybernetics and a person who played a fundamental role in the history of our university and EuroCast. She was one of the main promoters of bringing this conference to Gran Canaria, starting in 1989, when, as some of you know, the details of the very first EuroCast were planned in a modest restaurant on the beach of Sardina de Galdar. From that humble beginning, EuroCast has grown into an established international meeting point. Over the years, speakers from more than 30 countries and 4 continents have participated, and more than 1,500 papers have been published. Professor Moreno left an important academic legacy through his research, his international connections, and the many students and colleagues he influenced, but also a human and cultural one. In his later years, his contribution to the dialogue between science, art, and technology also took the form of his pictorial work. With his portraits, he generously honored his friends and colleagues, turning scientific friendship into a lasting visual memory. He believed strongly in collaboration, in building societies, in building scientific communities, and in the idea that universities should open themselves to the world. EuroCast reflects that spirit very clearly, not only in the scientific quality, but also in his openness and sense of community. For that reason, this edition is not only another conference, it is also a way of continuing something he helped create. Every exchange of ideas, every discussion, every new collaboration that begins here is part of that continuity and a way of honoring his memory in the most meaningful sense for a scientist, by keeping knowledge alive and moving forward. I would like to thank the organizing committee, Professor Alexis Quesada in particular, the speakers, the institutions that support the conference, and all of you for being here. Bringing together an international scientific committee is never simple, and it only happens thanks to the commitment of many people, often over many months of quiet patient work. I wish you a productive and enjoyable conference, and I hope your time in Gran Canaria will also allow for good conversations, new ideas, and future collaborations. On behalf of the ULPCC, I hope EuroCast 2026 will also serve as a sincere tribute to Professor Roberto Moreno by continuing the work he valued most, sharing knowledge, working together, and advancing science. Our solidarity goes to his wife, Maite, querida Maite, and to his son, Roberto, who is also professor of our university, and to the daughters that are following us online. In the coming months, our institute and our university will ensure that Roberto receives the recognition he fully deserves. All the government board of the university, all the vice rectors are here present this morning, from professors to research, international affairs, culture, students are here to support our full commitment to doing that. Director of the Eldera, thank you very much for hosting us one more year. Let me conclude with a few words in German. Lieber Roberto, danke für deine unvermut diese Arbeit. Danke an alle, die dieses gemeinsame wissenschaftliche Projekt möglich gemacht haben. Thank you very much. And now the Professor Alexis Quesada will take the floor to explain how this act in memoriam of Roberto Moreno will proceed. Alexis.
Thank you. Good morning, most excellent rector, vice-rectors, director of the Elder Museum, vice-president of the University Foundation of Las Palmas, dear colleagues, friends, EuroCast participants, those here today and those listening to us online, dear Maite, Roberto, and Roberto's family. First of all, I must confess that I am still in shock after the sad loss of our beloved professor and friend Roberto Moreno, one of the fathers and founders of this cherished EuroCast conference, which brings together many fellow researchers from many different countries every 2 years in what is now our home and headquarters of EuroCast, the Elder Museum of Science and Technology. We are celebrating the 20th edition of this wonderful conference, which is now 37 years old, the same age as our University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, since both were formally established in 1989. To this great family that we, the regular EuroCast participants, already form, and to the new and young talents from different research groups joining us this year, welcome. As you all know, and it could not be otherwise, this edition of EuroCast 2026 is specially dedicated to the memory of our dear friend Roberto. And although many of you knew him, I would like to offer a very brief overview of his remarkable professional career. Obviously, it would be impossible to show you Roberto's Moreno career here today. I think we would need much more time than we have available. But I would like to summarize a few brief highlights of his brilliant career, perhaps emphasizing some aspects that I consider especially relevant. This summary of his career is also included in the conference book of extended abstract. Without a doubt, something that probably marked a large part of his scientific career, and that is truly remarkable, was his training at MIT, where he was part of the team of Warren McCulloch, as you know, one of the fathers of cybernetics. But in addition to his outstanding educational background, his extensive activity in university management is no less impressive, as evidenced by the number of management responsibilities and positions he has held. For example, Dean and Vice Rector at the University of Zaragoza, also Dean of the Faculty of Computer Science at the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, and also Director of the Canary Island Institute of Technology. Among his significant roles, I would like to highlight that he founded the University Institute of Cybernetic Science and Technologies at the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria in 1999. He served as its director until 2009, when at his suggestion I had the privilege of succeeding him. Today, I share with you the gratitude I expressed to him during his lifetime. Seeing throughout these years, I received his unconditional help, support, and above all, his affection. This gratitude is also on behalf of all the researchers at the Institute, the Computer Science School, and also the Department of Computer Science and System, with which he was associated for so many years. That is why, Roberto, we are thinking of you in a special way here today. And I'm sure that, like many of us, you will be moved by our words, thoughts, and feelings. Roberto lived 66 years, and I would dare to say that he lived those 66 years to the fullest. He was one of those people who was able to enjoy many of the well-deserved honors he received during his lifetime. And I can assure you that there were many. Let me mention just a few, very briefly. For example, the Canary Island Research Award, the Silver Medal for Scientific Merit, and also he was member of the International Academy of Systems and Cybernetic Science, of which only 4 Spaniards are members, being Roberto one of them. Furthermore, as I imagine you know, he was the alma mater of computer science studies at the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. I remember that in 1989, when I was thinking about studying computer science, the rumor circulating among students at that time was that, first of all, it was a very hard degree. But above all, what stood out most at the time was that it was a degree that held great national and international prestige. Years later, and I understood why. That prestige was directly related to the people who were at the forefront of those studies. One of those outstanding people being Professor Roberto Moreno. I must confess that I never imagined during my time as a student that one day I would be working side by side with Roberto. And I have been able to do so thanks to his son, Roberto, and of course, thanks to the organization of this wonderful conference. From a scientific and research perspective, his contributions to neurocybernetics, retinal theory, and natural and artificial vision are countless. Not surprisingly, he has authored and co-authored more than 135 original papers in these fields. But above all, I would highlight the great international renown that this university has achieved as a result of the enormous number of distinguished researchers who have visited us within the framework of EuroCast conference. As you all know, Roberto was one of the founders and main promoters of this conference. Roberto is certainly a leading figure in the field of neuroscience, and that is why the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria can boast a unique international patent, which I would call the Roberto Moreno Diaz Neural Network. This is a multi-layer neural network that takes as its input all of the images you see on the slide, which are images from Roberto's collaborating researchers and offers us a magnificent output. As you can see, the output is an extensive network of contacts and international prestige that Roberto Moreno's career has brought to the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. As if all of this were not enough, he also devoted much of his time to painting. He had his own style in this field too. Many of us here fell prey of his brushes. And at EuroCast 2024, the university inaugurated an exhibition to present part of his artistic work, an exhibition that later traveled to different municipalities on the island, such as his hometown of Galdar and the municipality of Firgas. Those of us who have a portrait painted by him, and I think there are many of us here, have little to complain about, as he always took care to make the necessary, let's say, adjustments. In my case, for example, he saved me the trip to Turkey to fill my head. Finally, I would like to end this heartfelt and intimate tribute to Roberto with a video that includes a very special photo report featuring family photos, both of his biological family and his EuroCast family, of which you are all now part. A very special thanks to my colleague Gabriel, the logistic chair, for his valuable and kind help in putting this video together. In addition, the video will have a very special accompaniment. As many of you probably know, Roberto was passionate about classical music, and particularly about Johann Sebastian Bach. For this reason, in this heartfelt tribute, this video will be accompanied by a special performance by Barrios Orquestados, a social project led by José Brito that aims to achieve social transformation in the most socially and culturally disadvantaged neighborhoods in the Canary Islands and beyond. They aim to achieve this by creating children orchestra and choirs for children and adolescents, as well as family choirs, thus promoting community belonging. We are delighted with this mutual collaboration, and I would like to publicly express my special thanks to its director, José Brito, its producer, Alba Suarez, and of course, to all the musicians for joining us here today. Dear Roberto, you will always be in our hearts. Thank you very much.
dos grandes maestros de mi vida. Uno fue el primero, en el tiempo, don José García Santemases, y el segundo, Juan Mercado. Don José García Santemases me enseñó cómo sobrevivir en la vida y cómo aprovecharme de unas cosas, de otras, y de lo que sea. Y Warren me enseñó a ayudar a la gente y a ser generoso, y a ser creativo y ceder mis ideas. Yo he usado parcialmente lo que me enseñó uno y lo que me enseñó otro y me ha sido de desastre. Si hubiese seguido solo lo que uno de ellos me dijo, a lo mejor habría tenido un poco más de éxito.
After this emotive activity in memoriam of Roberto Moreno, we are going to officially open this Congress EuroCast 2026. Alexis Quesada has the floor to present the details of this edition. Alexis, cuando quieras.
Well, after this heartfelt tribute to Professor Roberto Moreno, we will continue with this opening session of the 20th edition of EuroCast, which is also dedicated to his memory. Indeed, as a result of hard work carried out almost a year in which Professor Moreno actively participated, we are pleased to present a compelling scientific program that will take place over an intensive week, during which 166 original contributions will be presented within the 18 thematic blocks that make up the program of this 20th edition of EuroCast. During the week, we will have 3 interesting plenary lectures. The first will be given today by Professor Ito from Chuo University, Japan. The second will be given tomorrow, Tuesday, by Dr. Torres Sospedra from the University of Valencia, Spain. And finally, the third will be given on Thursday by Dr. Natowski from the Wrocław University of Science and Technology, Poland. My special thanks to the 3 speakers for accepting our invitation and offering us these 3 sessions, which I am sure will be very interesting for all participants. Although technical sessions are the core of any conference, and this is certainly true of EuroCast, I would like also to encourage everyone to take part in the social program we have prepared for this edition. By participating in these activities, we have the opportunity to network and strengthen relationships with other colleagues, which should be one of the objectives of our participation in a scientific conference. Therefore, I encourage you to participate, and I hope you will enjoy all these activities. An event of this caliber with a 37-year history would not be possible without the participation of various institutions that have been by our side since the beginning. My special thanks go first to my own university, the University of Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, and to all its rectors who have supported this conference during all these years. In particular, to our current rector, Luis Serra, with whom we have shared these last 3 editions. I would also like to thank especially the University Institute of Cybernetic Business and Society, represented here today by its current director, Agustin Sanchez. EuroCast has 2 organizational hubs, one here in Gran Canaria and the other one in Austria, where we have always had the support of the Johannes Kepler University in Linz and the University of Applied Science in Upper Austria. Many thanks to both institutions. The second local institution that I must highlight is the one that has become our wonderful conference venue, the Elder Museum of Science and Technology. My special thanks go to its director, José Gilberto Moreno Garcia, whom I hold in very high regard for his warmth and kindness. We certainly feel at home here. Of course, I must also thank all of his excellent technical staff, who are highly qualified and whom I consider to be the museum's greatest asset. My special thanks to Arantxa Rodriguez, a very diligent person who is very attentive to all the details and who gives us all the support we need to ensure that this conference runs smoothly within the museum. Thank you also to Convention Bureau, especially its manager, Sergio Macanti, for the support and help he provides us and for his personal recommendation on logistic details of the conference. Finally, to the City Council of Galdar, the hometown of our dear Roberto, where we will once again close this very special edition of EuroCast. In particular to its mayor, also vice president of the local government of the island, Teodoro Sosa, and to its councillor, Carlos Ruiz, for their kind collaboration in organizing the closing of this edition. Roberto always used to say that the foundation of EuroCast is made up of the chairs responsible for the workshops that form the different thematic blocks of the conference. And I fully share this opinion. And I would therefore like to express my special thanks to all the chairs, both those present here and those unable to attend. And of course, also to all those who have been part of EuroCast throughout its 37 years history. I cannot fail to make special dedication to the founding and honorary chair of the conference, Professor Franz Pichler. I must admit that I'm deeply grateful to him and Roberto for giving me the opportunity to collaborate with them in organizing this conference and for the trust they have always shown in me. I would also like to give special thanks to Professor Michael Affenzeller, program chair of the conference, especially for his work in promoting the conference over so many years, something that is evident from the participation figures for his country, Austria, which has the highest number of attendees at this year's edition. I cannot forget the local organizing committee, especially the logistic chair, my dear friend Gabriel de Blasio, and Maite Alonso, Roberto's wife, who, despite the difficult times she has been through and continues to go through, she has always been willing to help us with the organization of the conference. Thank you very much, Maite. Alexis Espino, who has been in charge of the technical secretariat, also deserves special mention. And of course, the rest of the support staff, Carmelo Rubén García, Juan José Quesada, Mariam Quesada, Ángel González, Iru Navarro, Pablo Sánchez, José Carlos Rodríguez, and Merche Juárez. All of them will continue to provide us with their support throughout this week so that the conference can run smoothly. Last but not least, my special thanks go to each and every one of the participants in this edition. In my opinion, you are what makes this conference so special. A warm, friendly, and familiar conference. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Professor Alexis Quesada. Now, Michael Affenzeller has the floor, the program chair, and will present some data regarding the participation on this edition. Michael?
Thank you very much. Before I start with the numbers, let me express also my thanks for the perfect organization which Alexis and his team has been doing under these very difficult circumstances after the unexpected passing away of our dear friend Roberto. Still, you have been doing a great job, and also a very respectful and warm opening so far as a tribute for Roberto. My part at the opening is presenting some statistics and numbers, which is a pleasure having a look at the development of the still growing community, and I think Roberto would have been very proud also to see this number. Unfortunately, he cannot be with us. The total number of papers is the highest number, as far to my knowledge, which we could achieve so far in the organization of EuroCast. We have more than 450 authors from all over the world, and also the number of workshops is still increasing, with recent topic under the broad umbrella of systems theory and cybernetics. Here we see the development of the number of papers over the last two venues of EuroCast in comparison with the recent version, and we still can see a significant growth of 76% when we compare it to the edition in 2022, one of the first international events which have been established in person after the pandemics, by the way, and also almost 40% increasing since the last edition held 2 years ago. After the pandemics, we switched from the odd years to the even years. As you know, here we have some kind of, say, heat map presentation of the number of contributions of different countries. We see it's centered in Europe, but has a worldwide community, also including strong contributions from the US and from Australia and even South America and Asia. We have contributors. I think we are only lacking Africa and Antarctica. For Africa may be solvable. Antarctica will be more difficult, I guess. Well, and as already been mentioned, due to the tradition of EuroCast, which has been established by Franz Bichle and Roberto Moreno, Austria has a very strong contribution in terms of number of papers, with 79 papers this year. So, and also all other countries in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm just wondering that French isn't part of the conference. Maybe we should work on this also a little bit. So here a bit more detailed statistic, or a different view about the statistic. As an Austrian, I'm of course proud about our contribution, especially as we are in front of the Germans, which we always like. Sorry for that, but it doesn't happen too often, so I can express it this time. And also the number of workshops, which is also very important to keep the conference up to date topic-wise, has been increasing with very recent and substantial topics over the last couple of editions. And this mixture of established topic areas together with new topics, I think, is one of the strengths of EuroCast, that people from different communities under the broad umbrella of systems theory and cybernetics come together, share ideas, develop new hybrid ideas even, which then come up to interesting research work. I think that's one of the unique points of EuroCast. Here, statistics about the workshops, which I also think are going into a good direction. So in former editions, we had sometimes very large workshops, but also quite small ones. The smaller ones are growing, the larger ones are shrinking a little bit. which makes a more balanced distribution of participation among the workshops, which I think is useful and beneficial for the organization of the conference. And I can only repeat what has been stated so far. The way EuroCast is organized is with a lot of responsibility of the workshop organizers. The workshop organizers are acting in a very professional way, which keeps the standard in terms of quality of the conference, which is important, especially for this kind of format. And this has been working very well over the years, which is pretty unique, I think, in the scientific community, that this system with extended abstracts for the decision of acceptance, giving the contributors the chance to include also the results from the discussion during the workshop and the conference, for having a high quality final paper, is a very successful format which can only work when the workshop organizers are doing their work in a professional and high quality standard way. And this is working very well. Before coming towards the end, I have two remarks in terms of organization. Alexis and me agreed prior to this that we should take the opportunity that there's such a crowd during the opening, that we make a group photo, a family photo, so we can in this area, I hope we will all have room all together to do a photo. The light can be switched on, and afterwards, after having this overall group photo of the EuroCast community, I would like to ask my colleagues from Upper Austria University of Applied Science to meet at the airplane in front of the building during the coffee break to have a group photo in the subgroup as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Alexis. I wish you a productive and enjoyable conference. And I hope that your time in Gran Canaria will also allow for good conversations, new ideas, and future collaborations. Those who believe that already known Gran Canaria are wrong, because there are many regions, villages, and things to explore, cheeses to taste, wines to drink, and restaurants to enjoy. So I wish you a very comfortable and happy stay. Enjoy your stay and come back in 2028. EuroCast 2026 is officially opened. Thank you to all of you, and thank you to Roberto Moreno. Thank you very much.